don't have to say any more, do we?
No, you really don't. I will tell you this though, it's one of the most important things we do. If you're an Alabama A&M supporter, if you're an Alabama A&M fan, a student, a teacher on campus, if you have any association with Alabama A&M, this is the one that you look forward to. And I'm no different than anybody else. I've been looking forward to it since last year.
Do you feel, as a coach, do you feel any more pressure this week, outside pressure, than you do maybe any other game?
You know, if you know anything about me, Scott, you know I kind of put a bunch of pressure on myself anyway, and if I added any more, I'd be overloaded. So no, I don't think so. I think that there's an adequate amount of pressure that exists just because of the importance of the game.
Coming off that bye week, you know, you kind of laid out for us last week some things you wanted to get better at, improve on. I mean, do you feel like you guys accomplished your goals?
I think it was a successful bye week. The number one priority was to get healed up, and I felt like we did that. You know, a bunch of guys that are banged up mid-season had an opportunity just to kind of get off their feet. We got away from football for a couple of days. We let the guys kind of get re-energized, for lack of a better term, and I think it was a successful bye week. We were able to get ahead on our preparation for Alabama State, and so you can't ask for much more.
Last year, you guys come into this game, coaching staff kind of an unknown in the Classic. It was a Classic game, you know, a late play to win, a score. Talk about this year going forward. Now you're more experienced with the game, obviously, the meaning of the Classic. But talk about your team going forward from after last year's game.
Well, I know that anything that's unexpected should be expected. I know that the history of the Classic is that, you know, something's going to happen. A play's going to be made. A player's going to emerge. A coach will do something. You know, an equipment manager will do something extraordinary, or you know, that's the nature of this game. I know that's going to happen, and what we've got to do is we got to do our part in terms of weathering the storm. When something unexpected goes on, we got to weather the storm, come out on the other end, and continue to compete.
Good thing is you had a bye week last week. The downside could be is that you have to temper emotions for 2 weeks because of this game.
That's a thing that we talked about. We've talked about it daily, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I'm a firm believer. I don't ever want to get too high, and I don't ever want to get too low. And we certainly don't want to get ready before it's time to peak. And so, you know, it's kind of a balancing act. We're trying to figure that out. And, you know, each week is different. Each day is different. Each year is different. So hopefully we'll get it right this year.
Going through this your second time, is there something that you kind of know about this like whole preparation, getting ready for this, that you know now that you kind of wish you knew your first year?
I wish I had gotten ahead last year because we got to the game, and I personally, not the team necessarily, not the other coaches, but James Spady, I felt totally unprepared going into the game because I was busy with so many other things. I was busy making sure the tickets were right, and my wife wanted sideline passes, and you know, just handling those types of things. And this year I've gotten a head start on that. I feel really good. I can just concentrate on Alabama State now.
And talk about Alabama State, team in flux. You know, not that you know something about them because you've seen them now and you've had a chance to see them. What do you think about Alabama State?
We've got very similar traits in a lot of ways. You know, I say that with all due respect. Brian Jenkins is a guy I've known for years, and he's a very organized football coach. He's a smart football coach, and so I know that his football team is going to be prepared to play. We have some of the same symptoms. We have young football teams who, you know, are having to learn how to put one foot in front of the other and continue to be competitors, continue to be winners. And so I can feel his pain to a certain extent. But I want to make him feel some pain to a certain extent as well. And so the team that's going to play better, the team that's going to prepare better, is going to be the team that's going to have success on Saturday. And as good as they are and as good as we might be, you know, the team that plays the hardest, the team that makes the least amount of mistakes, the team that weathers the storm is going to be the victor. And we're working on that.
Does their style mirror your guys, or do you guys mirror their style?
To a certain extent, I guess. They're totally different on defense than we are. I think that everybody has elements of, you know, the spread offenses in their package. And so we're all a little bit the same as far as that's concerned, but different schemes. they've got some players that have the ability to make some plays, and so do we. So it'll be a good matchup. It really will be a good matchup.
Advice for him going into his first classic.
Don't do anything right, Brian. Just make sure you make all 100% mistakes.
Talk about Tootie. I know you said 2 weeks ago that he probably could have played in the game. Talk about his progress this week and how he's handled practice.
Tootie had a great week this week. He picked up where he left off, and again, Tootie could have played last week, and I just thought it was a better option for us to let him have another week to heal up, but going forward, I feel really good. I hope there's no rust. I hope we didn't put any rust on him, and he has to knock that off or something like that. But for the most part, I feel good about his preparation. He's had a good week, and I expect him to have a good week starting tomorrow.
You want him to make plays, but how do you control him, like trying to be too eager to want to make a play? It means that he didn't play a lot 2 weeks ago, and he's playing in the Classic this week.
That's going to be an ongoing challenge from now until the end of time. He's got to be a game manager. He's got to be that point guard. He's got to be the facilitator. And that's a battle that we constantly. He wants so badly to be successful and make plays that sometimes you just have to pull him back and say, hey, the big play might be just the little 2-yard gain that we need for the first down. So it's a constant battle. We got to teach him how to be a facilitator.
Last year's game, kind of as big as that was for the team, for you in your first year as a head coach, and as crazy it was. How often do you kind of look back and just think about how awesome that was?
I replay the touchdown to Tevin McKenzie in my head about 100 times a day. I'm not kidding you. It was just, it was one of those moments in sports when you have a game that's important to you, and you have a thing that happens like that. It's a sense of pride that you have with that, and you can't help but to reflect on it. But it has no bearing on the game Saturday evening. So we've got to put it aside and get prepared to beat this football team.
Good.